Well, under the cover of war there, a kamikaze attack by unions right here, because mark my words, I've told you this, well, we're all focused on this do we or don't we get involved in Syria thing. General Richard Trumka will pull off one of the greatest stealth victories in the sordid history, short as it is, of this health care law thing. Without anyone knowing, he will have secured an exemption for unions on some of the law's more costly provisions, including the higher fees for Cadillac plans that dominate many union plans, and ways around employers switching to too many part-time workers that could kill union workers. Only you won't know much about it because, Jedediah Bila, I suspect that no one really will cover it because the world is too busy focusing on Damascus and unions pulling a fast one in D.C. Julie Roginski, I'm sure, agrees with that point of view. But we'll get to her in a second. Jedediah, to you first on whether that is a real possibility, unions getting a complete pass.
I think they're going to cave to the unions, and I think it's because for Barack Obama to say we don't need union support in the midterm elections would be absolutely ridiculous. The unions came out in support of Obamacare, and I think there were a lot of backroom deals and a lot of meetings that went on where the unions acknowledged that there were some things about this law that they didn't necessarily like from the start, but they let Barack Obama know we are allies here, and if we come out and we say we don't like this, you're going to need to mend those things. You're going to need to really be accountable to us because we're the ones who helped you get elected twice, and we're the ones that are going to help your friends get elected over and over again. So I think there will be a lot of caving, particularly with respect to the Cadillac tax and with respect to the concern about this influx of full-time workers going over to part-time workers and what that does to a 40-hour work week for union members.
You know, I actually don't think they're that sinister. I think they're stupid, but I think that no, I'll say this with all respect to that I think that a lot of them, if they had just read the bill, they would have realized they added up and we're screwed. Well, but they didn't do that. Now they, like any group that feels it's offended and gotten a delay, an extension, or an exemption, they want in too.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something that's probably going to offend my friends in the union movement, but that's what collective bargaining is for, and I don't send me hate mail. I get it, but, you know, at the end of...
It's nice that your hate mail is bipartisan.
My hate mail is, you know, I am loathed by everybody. It's
not here.
I know.
We don't love you.
We don't love you. I love you, Julie.
Thank you. My only
This is a Cavuto clash, but it's a civil Cavuto
clash.
But to that point, though, I could see under the darkness of all of this other stuff going on in Syria, so waivers that would be made, you know, a new line in the bills that this applies to everyone but, you know, public union organizations. It wouldn't be that blatant, but it would be understood that they've gotten a pass.
It could happen, but as I said, it should.
Oh, it will happen.
Oh, I don't know if it will happen.
Well,
we'll see. We'll see. We want to place $1 on this?
No.
All right.
I don't place bets on fact.
Okay. I have $1. Okay. That's about all I have, but I'll place $1 on it.
Nice. I don't know if it's going to happen, but look. I sympathize with the unions. I get where they're coming from, but this is something to deal with at collective bargaining. It's not.
By the way, if we give an exemption to so many, who's left paying for this?
Well, as we discussed,
you and me.
Not you and I, because your health insurance isn't going to change. I don't think they're going to get rid of health care insurance here at News Corp.
My premiums haven't gone up. Your premiums haven't gone up.
My premiums went up well before Barack Obama came to office. My premiums.
You don't think it's accelerated?
Yeah.
You don't think it'll continue accelerating?
Not once Obamacare kicks in.
Young people are going to help pay for it who don't need insurance but have been mandated to toll them.
You know why they do?
We don't know it's coming, but I do want to address that another time you're here and when your labor friends have left you. Speaking of deflecting, who says Secretary of State John Kerry isn't every bit as good as his boss at it? One moment he's turning up the heat on Syria at the State Department, and the next he is talking about the heat via video address to a climate conference in the Marshall Islands.
Climate change is a global crisis, and it will require a global solution, one that includes shared resources, shared responsibility, and a shared sense of urgency above all.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for worrying about sweating, but shouldn't our Secretary of State right now be sweating more about Syria? That's just me, Jedediah.
Yeah, he wants to talk about everything but the real, legitimate, scary, frightening problem at hand. Look, and you know, I love when
by the way, he is talking about his boss isn't so much, but he figured.
True, I love this talk about climate change. Yeah, we all agree climate change exists. That's not the argument, John Kerry. The argument is how much of it is man-made and how much government involvement should we have? Should we have pro-free market approaches to address this problem, or should we expand big government via stimulus or however you want to argue it in order to address this problem? So stop painting folks on the right as those who don't care about climate change in order to make a political point right now. You want to talk politics? Right now, talk Syria. That's what you need to be talking about.
Julie.
Well, first of all, a Princeton University study came out a couple of days ago or weeks ago that actually said that climate change is linked to crisis and that climate change is linked to more violence. So I think John Kerry's right to worry about this because apparently, according to the study, if global...
It's making for Syria.
If global... Well, you know, they actually...
So it makes desperate more desperate life.
No, but it does make people more desperate when they have to fight over resources, and when they don't have resources to fight, when they have fewer resources to have, they're going to fight over them.
Why have a conference in the martial arts?
He's not making your point, though.
He is making my point.
No,
he is, because the point that he's making is it is a global threat. It is a global threat to security, and if you look at the study, and I think the study is very telling, what it says essentially is that by 2050, if temperatures go up by 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which apparently they might, they will have the chance of doubling.
And that's man-made, and companies have to pay for it, right?
Well, no, wait a second. First of all, you wanted a free market approach. How about the fact that we had a free market approach, cap and trade, something that the Republicans originally...
That's not a free market approach.
That's something the Republicans originally talked about.
But you see no disconnect between everything going on now and also talking about this. So you can talk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah, the guy just did 5 Sunday talk shows
about it, but right now is not the time. You turn on the news right now, you see massive coverage of Syria. Everyone in this country, no matter where you stand on the issue, is focused on this. John Kerry should not be pivoting right now to talk about climate change and
but same token, I mean, many on the right and I argued this at the outset, don't use Syria as an excuse not to do anything else, not to address budget.
So now he thinks it's a great time to expand government influence over the issue of climate change as the entire country is focused on our potential catastrophic involvement in Syria. He thinks this is a key time right now, today, to talk about climate change.
Is there ever a good time, though? There's always something going on. If we don't address this right now...
There's not always Syria going on.
Oh, first there was Libya, then there's Egypt, now there's Syria. I mean, there's always we had Iraq for 10 years.
Julie, there's always time for golf.
For golf?
And vacation?
Just days after the president's announcement that he's giving this to Congress, just hours after, he's golfing. So there's always...
Are we really going to start comparing presidential vacations?
No, not at all. I just find it interesting.
The optics aren't good. Look, no matter how you slice it, the optics of him talking about climate change, you can argue climate change is an important issue. Just politically speaking, the optics are not good for him to do that right now.
Except for the fact that the majority of Americans agree that something needs to be done about climate change. So it's not the
I agree, but I still think optically this is a problem.
There's always something going on. But if we don't tackle this today, we don't do this today, people are going to die tomorrow. And that's something that we have to acknowledge, and that's something climate change deniers don't want to believe it. But it's happening. It's already happening. If you look at this study, it's going to continue to exacerbate itself.
Well, I can talk about global cycle patterns and weather and generational shifts, and you can attach a very expensive solution to what you call a man-made problem. We can differ till the cows come home, but I just find the timing odd.
You can say the timing is odd. I think you guys will never think there's good timing to do that.
I think there's good timing, plenty of good timing, and I think it's an important debate to have over government involvement versus how do we address this, and if it is a global challenge,
well,
who can we
Republicans
rely
can't have
on
their
to help
cake and
us
eat it
with
too
that?
on this. Don't use it as a pure distraction on the things that we don't like.
I agree, 100%.
And conversely, liberals have to get on with the idea that we can't just force companies to pay for every environmental ill you attach to man.
We could spend, more time repealing Obamacare for the 41st time, or we could focus on things that actually might get done.
I'd like to repeal you.
You would. No, you were my last friend.
I don't mean it.
You just told me you were my last friend. Now you dump me. You dump me too.
You still have me.
Oh, thank you, Jedediah.
Between you and Combs.